All right, so now we're going to talk about percent proportions. Okay, and we're going to use this equation to do that. Okay, so our first step is to take the sentences and to write out the proportions. So we're going to write the proportion using the information. Okay, so we're going to write out the proportion using the information. Then we're going to use our cross products. So we're going to do our cross products. And then we're going to solve. Okay. And then if it's a word problem, then you'll label your answer. Okay. So we're going to use this formula for everything. So you're going to hear me say this, what's going to feel like 100 times in this problem. Okay. So we have is over of equals percent over 100. Now this 100 always stays. So we always have that 100. So we really are only filling in 3 different things. Okay, so we're going to fill in based off of what this problem is. It says 12 is. So if I have the word is, I always take what's in front of it. So 12 is, so I'm going to put 12 in the is spot. It says what percent, so we don't know the percent, so that's what we're finding. And it has the word of 32. So after the word of is what our of is. Okay, so now we have our proportion, and we're going to solve that by cross multiplying. We're going to do 32 times x, so we'll have 32x equals 100 times 12 equals 1200. Now we want to solve that, divide both sides by 32, and you'll get whatever 1200 divided by 32 is, which hopefully you get 37.5. All right, so we're going to do the next one. And we have the word is what number? So we're finding that. Remember, our proportion is over of equals percent over 100. Whereas we always have the 100, right? So we want to find the is. So after the word is comes what it is. So in this case, we don't know. It's our x. Our percent is always going to be with the percent sign. So our percent is 15.5. You don't need to write percent there. And then our of follows the word of 450. So now we cross multiply. We do 100 times x, which is going to be 100x. And then you do 450 times 15.5, which is 6,975. And then we divide both sides by 100. Divide by 100. And you're going to get x is equal to 69.75. All right, we got one more to look at. Our proportion is always is over of. Is over of equals percent over 100. Okay, so we have is 78. So 78. And then we have our 60%, so our 60%, which goes over our 100. Then we have of what number? So we don't have a number there, so that's our x. All right, so now we cross multiply. 60 times x is 60x. 100 times 78 is 7,800. Get x alone, divide by 60. X equals 130. Okay. So now we're going to start looking at word problems. I will say that B is a little easier than A, if we're being honest. Okay. So the average semester tuition at a state college is $5,650. State college decides to raise it by 7%. How much will the tuition increase? So in this case, instead of is over of, we're going to use part over whole. We're going to use part over whole. So part over whole. And that's what you're going to use for word problems. Equals percent over 100. So this 5,650 is our whole. That's what our whole tuition is. So that's our whole. So our 5,650 is our whole. We have our percent. They're raising it by 7%. And we always have our 100. So we want to find how much they're raising it by. So we want to find our part. And now we can cross multiply these now that we filled it out. So it's 100x equals 5,650 times 7, which is 39,550. Divide by 100 on each side. And you should get x is equal to 395.50. So we need a sentence here. So we could say tuition is being raised by $395.50. Okay, so again, for word problems, you're going to want to use part over whole. So up here, if it makes sense, use word problems for part over whole. Okay. So let's look at the next one. Peter and Judy together earned $4,220 per month. Their mortgage payment is $1,728 per month. What percentage of their household income goes towards paying their mortgage? Okay, so remember it's part over whole equals percent over 100. So we always have that 100 there. So this 4,200 is what they earned in the whole month, per month. So that's our whole. So we earned $4,320 in the month. Part of their bills are rent. So their mortgage is part of their monthly income. And we're trying to find what percent of their monthly income it is. So that's why that's X. Okay, so now we cross multiply. We do 4,320 times X. So we get 4,320X equals, and then we do 1,728 times 100, 72800. And now we divide both sides by the 4,320. And you should get X is equal to, what's it equal to? It's equal to 40. You could say their mortgage is 40% of their monthly income. And if we're being honest, that's probably on par with real life. Okay, so that's percent proportions.